Hi folks, welcome to The Financial Argument. Finally, I'm here with a new video after a long time away. I know you all understand and have experienced that from time to time. We all go through difficult periods in our lives, and I just went through such a period. That's why I delayed the videos I enjoy making for you. Still, I owe you an apology because the information I share is so important. Well, I'm back and plan to share with you at least 2 videos a week. So let's get started without wasting any more time. In the last survey, most of you wanted me to focus on a video about Russia, Ukraine. Actually, there is a video I uploaded about a year and a half ago on this subject. It didn't get much attention at the time, and very few people watched. But I encourage you to go and watch after you finish this one. In fact, many comments in the video came after what I described in the video started to happen. The comments say it looks pretty wild that I can predict what's going to happen. As I always say, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not a fortune teller who sees the future. In fact, everything that's going on is very clear, and everything is happening right before your very eyes. All we need to know is the existence of a plan for economic disasters, destruction, hunger, and misery. They don't hide it. You just need to research to find more information on the things happening in the open. But that's what I do for you. So although I always upload videos about the topics you want me to focus on, I'll not just focus on Russia, Ukraine today, because everything we're experiencing, including food shortages, is only part of the plan. But unfortunately, we've entered into an even scarier era. These aren't natural problems occurring. We're drifting towards a fictionalized and cruel future. That's why I think a video where we look at the big picture is more necessary for today. A nightmarish period is at hand involving chaos that will intensify in October and beyond. And to get out of this nightmare, they'll come to the whole world with a proposal initiated by the United Nations. This proposal is an unprecedented project in history that will change the entire world and will last until 2030. Since the plan is on a global scale, developments all over the world are very important signs of what's to come. Today, there's evidence from Europe that the destructive plan is accelerating rapidly. As a result of the closures due to the health crisis, production in Europe stopped. Many countries collapsed financially. The cost of living has become unbearable. The problem of immigration has been destroying Europe for years. As a result of decisions made by governments, many animals were culled as if to cut people's access to food. On top of that, the Russia-Ukraine issue left an energy crisis in the arms of the whole world, especially Europe. While this crisis raises the price of everything, it also brings with it many problems from production to transportation, even to the protection of people from the cold. What a terrible thought that we may hear news of people freezing in Europe this winter. Today, drinking water has started to be rationed in many cities in Italy. In the UK, the most basic items such as baby formula, cheese, and lamb have started to be sold with anti-theft devices. I could give hundreds of ugly examples from many countries. I just want to ask you, can you see where we've come? Can you see how many people have been surrounded by crisis? And after worse situations are created, they'll come before us with a solution that they're desperately waiting for people to accept. Unfortunately, the United States is not immune to all this. Worse is coming for us. To better understand the subject, let's go back to 2020. In this cover picture, which will be familiar to many of you, Time magazine showed the whole world as a giant construction site on its cover. The author went to the future, towards 2023, and wrote an article as if it were that year. In this article, he mentioned that climate risks, environmental and social investments are not given enough importance, and that the first serious step in this regard has been taken by the European Union. In the continuation of the article, he talks about the European Union announcing a $1.8 trillion stimulus package, establishing 100 new carbon-free cities designed by artists in Europe, sustainable energy, new energy-powered buildings, and free public transport. Wow, the author is literally describing a paradise by emphasizing a new renaissance. Sometime after the publication of this article, the European Union published an announcement on its official website with the title, "The Largest Stimulus Package Ever." What's interesting is that the things mentioned are almost exactly the same as what was written in the article, including the number of about $1.8 trillion. I said that the plan is on a global scale, so it's not just Europe. Also, the people of the whole world are not going through very different experiences anyway. It's harder than ever to survive everywhere. The bill of at least $2 trillion was created for the destruction in Europe, whereas the bill for the whole world is exactly $90 trillion. So how do we know this? Of course, from the official website of the United Nations. In this article, there's a list of things to be done until 2030 in many areas from food to energy. I previously uploaded my video about the Green New Deal with the United States part of the issue before the election. I suggest you watch it. There is no $90 trillion in money in the world today. Moreover, these projects cannot be implemented with the current monetary system, so the current system must be destroyed in order to change it. This is why the number of wildfires occurring in a strange way around the world is increasing. That's why they cut off your access to food and water. This is why the cost of living is made even more unbearable. Because in order to force people to accept a new world, you have to destroy the old world. And in this case, two groups are created: the people inside and the people outside, regular people like you and I. When we put everything together, we see that unnatural hyperinflation has been created, designed for us, people who are not in the system. Things will get worse than you can imagine before you're convinced their plans are the only solution. The goal is to make sure you make less noise and at the end of the day, obey these people who are playing the role of God. At this point, let's focus a little more on the United States, which has actually been chosen as the epicenter of the entire disaster. When we look at the historical process, a pattern catches our eye. It's always been hyperinflation that's destroyed all great empires and states since Rome. You may have heard of the hyperinflation of Weimar Germany. As a result of hyperinflation, the country disappeared. Afterward, this situation in Germany brought a great war in the 1940s, and the whole world was redesigned after all the tragedies. Let's go to more recent history. Yugoslavia, an important power center in Europe, which was destroyed as a result of a hyperinflation operation. Already, the world has been thrust into a hyperinflationary period. To help you understand the situation in the United States, I'll share a few graphs that will disturb you. This graphic that you're familiar with, and that I've shared very often, shows how much the US dollar has lost value day by day after the establishment of the Federal Reserve. The first chart shows in a broader perspective the decline in our purchasing power from the 1920s to the present. This graph is an indicator of how much money in our pockets has melted in just the last 2 years. We know that it's price increases that reduce the purchasing power of a currency. However, this graphic shows how dire the situation is. At the same time, even if a central bank prints trillions of dollars, if this money's not used in purchasing domestically in the market, it'll have no effect on inflation. What makes the situation shown in this chart dire is the record-breaking amount of money not yet in circulation, which is unprecedented in history. And remember, although this money has not been spent yet, we're experiencing record inflation. Think about what will happen when that money is spent. Moreover, it only shows the money of the households in the bank and is not even counting the companies. This money will be spent sooner or later. Then the inflationary period in the world and in the US will enter the hyperinflationary period. The reason why I pointed out the month of October at the beginning of the video is the possibility of a stock market crash that will be created as a result of the official announcement of the recession. We're already in a recession, and we don't need an official explanation for it. All markets are already a bubble ready to burst, like never before in history. In the event of a stock market crash, things will turn out to be disastrous. In this scenario, central banks will find an excuse to print more free money to save the companies, and the plan will enter the next terrible phase. When this happens, gold and commodity prices will skyrocket. While it's obvious that the crisis between Russia and Ukraine has caused damage to the whole world from food to energy, especially to Europe, it'll soon be added to the crisis between China and Taiwan. Isn't it great timing for some to start an event like this when the whole world is in enough trouble already? Those who talk about heaven cities and trillions of dollars of projects just throw gasoline onto the fire instead of stopping all the chaos. As a result of the embargoes applied to Russia, an embargo will be applied within China, just like the embargoes applied by Russia to the whole world, and China will make moves against it. But today, Russia is just energy and maybe food, while China is everything. Just as those who made Europe dependent on Russia for many things are the real criminals, those who made the whole world dependent on China for everything are the real criminals. I don't even want to say what'll happen in winter, but the aftermath is already very clear. More poverty, unemployment, people who suffer from hunger, lack of housing, and protection from cold and other social problems. Unfortunately, many people are unaware of the looming catastrophe. They're busy with the nonsense they're purposely distracted with on TV and social media. These are the people who, when left without money, food, or even electricity, will knock hard on your door in hopes of finding a piece of food. So please ask yourself how prepared you are personally. We don't have a chance to change what'll happen. It's too late for many things now. So we have to be prepared for our families and loved ones. I'll continue to warn you as much as I can and to give you the sad but true news. And you know that the financial argument is not supported by any lobby or organization other than the wonderful people whose names you see on the screen. On the other hand, I try to cope with the many costs of making my videos to bring you well-researched truth. If you appreciate my work, consider supporting me on Patreon and the Join section of the channel. It really helps a lot. Don't forget to take the survey on the Community tab and tell me what topics you want me to focus on. We'll see you in the next video. God bless you all.